All right, guys. So this time it's a video from Cole Evyx. Please check out Cole's channel and leave him a sub there. Also the notification bell, because he's a wonderful content creator. He spends most of his time playing Final Fantasy XIV, and yeah, basically whenever any new content is being released, he's the guy to follow, and that will give you all the recent information that you need and keeps you up to date. So yeah, check him out. He's also having very solid points about certain things in the game that need to change, or certain flaws that the game has. And yeah, today we're watching his video, which is called "Does Final Fantasy XIV Have a Gearing Problem?" Which definitely is a topic that I thought about many times and wanted to make a video myself. And I think gearing has to change to make Final Fantasy XIV way more attractive for longevity aspects at least. All right, let's go and see what Cole has to tell about this.
When it comes down to Final Fantasy XIV and playing alternative roles and jobs, I'm not so sure that we don't have a gearing problem at the higher end. Now at the lower end, no problem, but at the higher end, I do think that we do start to see a bit of a pinch. So at this point, it should come as no surprise that I've been doing my 7 Reasons to Play series, which has involved me currently covering every single DPS in the game, as well as we've got the healers in there, still missing Sage and Scholar, and then the tanks are nice.
Dude, Cole, how did you actually do that so fast? That's crazy. Okay, I believe that I started my 5 Reasons to Play series before he started this series, and he just went past me very quickly. Crazy. That's what I meant. That's Cole is the content creator to go for if you want to know the recent stuff. He's just so much faster than I am. So yeah, check out this series as well. Phenomenal series. Not in the same way edited like mine is, but I think the info in there is still exactly the same validity level that mine is. So check out this series as well.
But what this directly translates into is myself needing at minimum 1 tanking set, 1 healing set, 1 caster set, 1 physical range set, 1 maiming set between Reaper and Dragoon, 1 striking set between Monk and Samurai, and lastly Ninja for a scouting set, because scouting gear is only Ninja, doesn't share with anyone. Of course, that's oversimplifying things. Like Ninja is going to share accessories with ranged physical, but if you're like a melee player, that probably seems really weird to you. You're probably just like, I want to play melee. Why am I playing range or getting range physical accessories? Which has been raised to me a bunch of times, just like, yo,
yeah, that's
I
weird.
Play melee. And
that's actually weird.
I want to play melee. I don't want to play physical range, which is totally fair thing. Mind you, physical range sometimes do like to flex in. Okay, we're getting off topic. We're gonna reel it back. Trimming the vat here, that's gonna be 6 different sets of gear involving 6 pieces on the left and 6 on the right for a total of 12 pieces minimum per set, and that's not even covering each of the 19 jobs. Obviously has its own unique weapon, and that is absolutely not factoring in different sub stats in, which is super important, especially for some jobs like Black Mage and Summoner. For me, I go full all in ham on spell speed, where for Red Mage though, spell speed is actually a very bad stat in general for them.
That's right.
I want to say is irrelevant, but jobs like Summoner have pretty important spell speed cutoffs to ensure that you can realign Summon Bahamut and Summon Phoenix in raid buff windows, just to name one example. So it's not totally irrelevant. It's not, oh, you're just weird about some micro optimization. No, it's actually real important to realign yourself. So gearing multiple jobs, yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to talk about in today's video, I guess, is my point. And so yeah, what's up guys, it's your boy Cole, and for today's topic, I don't have the answers. I don't, but I do want to talk about it, and I've wanted to discuss it for a little while now because it does impact me directly, and it's kind of becoming painful, especially considering that we're having a gear reset really soon. This is going to tie back into the main point, but for anyone wondering if I'm done my 7 Reasons to Play series, I'm not. I still have like 5 more to go. I actually have decided to kind of push back my next 7 Reasons to Play video tomorrow, because honestly I want to take my tanks through P3S and be very comfortable with tanking this tier in general before I comment on tanking at all. P1 and P2 I got down, that's easy, said and done by the time I've got this recording out, as well as the next extreme, all the extreme trials, like everything is done in terms of that. But P3 in particular is that is my personal bar that I need to pass for my quality control. That's what I need to do for myself, even though most people would probably not even care. But while that might seem
Cole, you even have a quality control for your videos. That's what most other content creators don't care about, me included. I just play content like I did today. I did a layer with my Monk. I failed and I call it a day. Like, yeah. I think in Final Fantasy XIV, there's kind of a sort of imagination of what you set yourself as a bar, like Cole did here on P3. You don't have to beat that bar to be able to talk about stuff. That's the only thing I can tell you. It's good that you do. It's good that you kind of make yourself an expert about certain things. Being analytical about things in the game doesn't require you to be a perfect player. Like I can always tell this, you don't need to be the best player around to teach a job. That's totally stupid. And that would also make some teachers irrelevant in certain ways, because a math teacher doesn't need to be the best calculator out there. Take some numbers right and do some calculation stuff on an Olympical level. But the math teacher needs to understand what's happening, as well as the sports teacher. I think the sports teacher is the best example. When the sports teacher wants to teach you about basketball, for example, they don't need to be the best basketball player out there or a high-level basketball player to teach you the basics of how basketball is being played. Maybe you, as the student, are an actual talented person that can utilize this wisdom to become one of these amazing basketball players. So yeah, it's not like as a teacher, you don't have to be an expert in all regards. I think that's, it's good when you are, but it's not totally necessary and needed. Yeah, just my 2 cents. So, but yeah, still good thing to be and still good thing to have. But Cole, a personal recommendation, don't stress yourself too hard with a game. It's a game. I can't stress this more enough. Final Fantasy XIV is a game like every other game out there. It might be of the better ones, the better MMOs out there, but it's still a game. And yeah, don't sacrifice your life for it. If you don't have the time and still want to do and produce these videos, go for it. Don't block this behind your progress in any rating scenario. But yeah, it's still noble that you're doing this
video. That cycles directly back into the point of this video. I need gear to do the content and play really well is what I'm talking about. That is a no pass bar, hard stop red light. But even beyond just the requirements to enter, gear is a huge factor in performance. Like Unreal
just craft
are amazing for this because they sync everyone down to the same level, and gear is really just not a factor here, meaning it's going to be an even playing field, which as shown, I can really work it out and do great if we're on an even playing field. And sure, maybe it's not amazing, but that's Black Mage in a horrendous fight with 2 clears, and I'm proud of my friends that like helped me with their advocacies and were proud of me too. Seriously, that fight on Black Mage though put me through the ringer. But undeniably, in things like Savage content, gear makes a huge difference. So now gear is mandatory as well as important, but the patch cycle is something that we always go through in 14, and it goes through introducing new sets, which is a bit despairing to me. Like right now, we're super deep into patch 6.0's raid and tombstone gear, like super deep. It's been for a long time, and we've had access to so many weekly lockouts and tombstone caps to 450. I've had page runs where honestly I'll be like level with everyone. My RNG is absolutely dog, and I've been resorting to buying gear with pages for a while now, even for my mains, which were healers. But really, at this point of the patch cycle, I am in the best state I could really be gearing wise across all of the things that I play, which is why I've been unveiling the 7 reasons to play series at the end of this raid cycle. So in terms of gearing, even just a main job this early on in an expansion, options are really few and far between, and it takes well over a month to even get a main geared unless you are super great with RNG and your static somehow just blows the tier out of the water in the first week. Much as I'd love to be in that kind of group, most I can do a week in terms of rating is about 20 hours at like the absolute maximum ceiling. I know that from experience. Basically though, if I'm being super honest, really past 16, and I get a bit antsy, and that's not what week 1 or many week 2 groups are asking for currently. We've been just spending a lot of time talking about raid gear. That's not even mentioning tombstones that you can get 450 a week. That's the cap. Even this deep into the patch cycle, we're still capped at 450 even now. Considering legs or body piece takes at least 2 weeks to get just one of those pieces, yeah, it honestly does take a hell of a lot of time to actually fully tombstone gear even one character out. My point being here is gearing out even a main in a month, even with a consistent rating schedule and group, is really unrealistically fast. That's not even mentioning you need 8 books for a weapon, which at 8 weeks of the 4th boss being cleared, it will take a lot of people a very long time to get those books, at least 2 months obviously from the 8 books. And I, with my almighty horrible RNG, absolutely 100%.
I don't really think that the problem Cole is describing here applies to many players, in all honesty. If you compare that to WoW, for example, if you would gear up multiple jobs, like 19 jobs or 19 specs in total, you're not anywhere close to being able to do that. Like, that would take you years or months at least. Yeah, if you ever geared up a character in WoW, it's definitely much more effort. And here you can easily do that, and you have the sets, like Cole said. Even though you have 19 specs, you just have to saturate 7 sets in total. But yeah, it's kind of weird that he's describing this to be a hard grind, which I don't think it is. It's just basically for people that want each and every job to have proper gear. And yeah, I think in that he's in a niche for that, because even though you would try out all the jobs, would you really honestly try to max out the gear for all of them if you're not playing the game too much anyways? I don't think so. That this is a problem for the usual player. 75 clears between all fights, of course. Gearing is a bit annoying. I got 75 clears in this tier, judging from FF11. I have 2 jobs on best in slot, some then like half best in slot, half not best in slot. That's it. Yeah, like I said, but that's more like a hardcore player mentality. Not that you're a hardcore player, but I would say don't force yourself to play the game all the time. And this is exactly what you guys are doing right now, especially Cole is doing here to get out this job series. I know he's a content creator, and for a content creator, it does make sense, or it might make sense here. But yeah, it's not supposed to be like that, and it's supposed to work like that. Maybe you should focus on one job per role, or gear up one job per tier set or gear set. For example, if you have a Dragoon, maybe you can combine that with the Reaper gear, or the healers just need to get this healing set once and all healers are fine, just get the weapons on top.
Books, I'm gonna tell you that right now. Even my summoner still to this day doesn't have a best in slot book. I need like 4 pages until I get that. Only my white mage and sage has the best in slot weapon right now. Now if that's not a crying shame, I don't know what it is, because I love the summoner and I've done really well on the summoner, but it's like, guys, I still don't have a best in slot book, else it'd be like even better. But let me take a second here, just because every time I talk about them I just fangirl a bit. Is I've wanted these Obi-Wan lightsabers worse than you could imagine. Yes, I know the color's wrong, but these are like legit my favorite weapons in the entire game. Seriously, these are the most badass, epic, cool things that I've seen in a good long time in any game. I absolutely adore these new lists. I digress. Don't get me started on Sage, because I have to fangirl. 7 uses to play Sage. Good lord, no one is ready for that video. Point though, concluding this all, is that it takes a lot of time even for one character, one job, a lot of time, and that all of that progress basically gets reset every new cycle, which kind of honestly sucks in my position. I'm all right with the out with the old and with the new and such. I don't want things to become stagnated. I'm already afraid that commenters are not even going to listen this far and be like, absolute dog shit player wants it so that gear never changes. Guys, that's not what I'm saying. Damn, please don't say that. People are still going to say that in the comments, but why I'm raising this video is a part of me can't help but feel like, oh great, my summoner and black mage are still not even best in slot, but best in slot minus weapon, because the game decided that I can eat a fat Orito chip. Now obviously there are some systems to catch up, which is always fantastic. Like, we can buy crafted gear, but the problem is that caps out significantly massively below best in slot, especially for the first patch of the tier. Currently this is at, or was at, item level 580 until patch 6.1 allowed you to upgrade it to 590, which is a total disclosure what I have been gearing my tanks out with, because I have completely run out of tomestones and raid drops a long while ago, and yes, I capped my tomestones this week, or rather because we literally just had a reset last week. But you can also get one single drop of 590 piece from Agalia a week, which, as you can expect, with 6 different gear set types, because Ninja explicitly told me to eat a fat Dorito, and all of the different weapons for the 19 jobs. That's like pouring a tiny teacup of water into a roaring fire. Let's say that we're absolutely drowning in gil and can do crazy awesome things, like in the first month we get all item level 580 gear equivalent in patch 6.2, whatever item level that is. We don't know 100% yet. They might stay consistent, they might not, who knows. But to continue to use the current raid tiers item level numbers that we saw in 6.0 and 6.1 is that 580 was 20 item levels below the best in slot pieces, which is surprisingly rapidly being scrutinized scrutinized against in a party finder. Like many party finder groups are going for item level 590 or above, or 591 or above, because they don't
Would
want
be 610, I guess.
But actually, kind of to that point, is party finder groups, even within the second week of raiding, set item level to 581. In my eyes, to kind of dab on us peasants that play multiple roles, but realistically, even for, because why I say that is because one item level is not going to make or break an enraged timer. If it does, there's much bigger problems. But again, this kind of leads into community perception. Can you do it with 580? Obviously, people were able to clear the entire raid tier with that. Like, literally, week first needs to have done that. But my point is, realistically, party finders, even for P3S in the first few weeks, like 585 even wasn't enough. Then it raised to 590, which is where it's currently sitting at. You'll have a hard time finding a 580 minimum item level P3S or P4S. What I'm trying to get at here is, while there are catch-up mechanisms, I'm not going to start pretending that they don't exist just for the sake of an argument. In the Savage environment, and especially party finder environment, where the community perception really does add up and people are just like, oh, how good you are at this is more determined on item level, even though like a well-played machinist with good gear will obviously outperform a badly played machinist in good gear. But in the party finder environment, it doesn't really hold up. People don't care that much. They don't look that deep, which can you blame them? Because they're just trying to get in and do content. Again, I'm not trying to put anyone's foot to the fire. I'm just trying to say how it is and really explain my perspective on why I find this a problem. Even literally last night when I was taking my tank through Party Finder, someone decided to comment on my spectacularly awful gear. Yes, my tank's gear is honestly not that great. I guess I'm glad you noticed. I don't know what to say. My tank gear is comprised of elastic bands, paper clips, and a massive load of stubborn determination saying, I am going to fucking play all the tanks. It's not great. I may indeed suck. I may be, in fact, the best at it in all the land. And yes, in fact, I have had no complaints when people ask me the question. Drag Race fans will know what I am citing. But I do enjoy playing multiple jobs and multiple roles, and I genuinely feel that it makes me, against myself, a better player, again, against myself. I just feel like I need to clarify that because I don't care to compete against anyone but me, and someone will take that out of context and be like, oh, you think you're better than me because you play all the jobs, you elitist piece of fucking shit. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I can say that playing tank and healer and DPS gives me a lot of context and understanding, and I want to play better for myself. It's just, damn, some days you can't win with the comment section. It's just like, I got ripped apart in some of my last videos because of like super minor things. I'm like, damn, some days you just can't win. But silliness aside, I seriously don't know how we can solve this, but it is a pain point for me, and so yeah.
Okay, so yeah, really bit difficult to talk about this, and because he just lost the point, I think, many times. But the main point is basically that Cole is claiming gearing is too big of a grind, especially when you have twins, you have ults that you want to gear up as well, especially if you want to have them on a very solid next to maximum item level. I agree on that, but like I said, I think this is a niche case where not many players are trying to achieve that, or if they do, it doesn't matter too much because they are in their own static anyways, and they are trying to tackle content that's already cleared. So like I said, it's all of this is actually just relevant for the time you're not having cleared content. Like you said, if you just go in there with full crafted gear, this content might be super hard, super difficult. And when you were stuck with that gear for a long time and you could not see any light at the end of the tunnel because, yeah, you don't see any good drop luck, or you can't get your item that you need for upgrading or getting stronger with your character, with your job, then of course this would be a problem. But here it's just like, yeah, dude, you're spending too much time with the game anyways. Why should we give you any more hint that this is not our goal? We don't want you to do that. Square is kind of open on this regard. They don't want you to sacrifice your life, just play this game, never play any other game. And I'm completely honest with you. I play Final Fantasy XIV basically all day, but sometimes it's just doing my dailies, and That might be super casual on one hand, but on the other hand, I think spending each day 5 to 6 hours playing this game and not trying out all the new releases that come out on other games or single player games, or maybe watching a new series on Netflix, I don't know if that's the way to go. I really don't know, because yeah, PvP would have been exactly the way. It's not repetitive content. Every time you play player versus player content, the whole setup changes, the whole environment changes according to the players that participate. PvE is kind of the same thing with the party setup you have, but if you're repeatedly walking the same content over and over again with the same party, things don't change. And the only thing you can do is changing the job. And of course, that's basically what I agree to 100%. It makes so much fun to change jobs, to switch between jobs, to try out new jobs, especially in other roles. But I think it's not a flaw of the gearing system that it's kinda grindy and you can see the finish line when you try to max out all the jobs, especially if you certainly know that crafted gear will replace that gear that you farmed for so long nearly instantly when the patch is being released. So yeah, the community thing, I don't know if that's actually a problem. I don't think that people are too mean and too harmful when you're not in a good shape with your gear, as long as you're performing. Yeah, and if they are, they might not actually be a good team up anyway. So the only fights I did was Savage, the first one, the second one to the last stage or the last phase, but afterwards I don't have any clue. But yeah, we'll do the Savage content whenever these locks are getting removed, these weekly limitations, and basically that is exactly where we could solve the problem that Cole has. Why is Square Enix trying to keep these weekly limitations up for so fucking long? I don't get it, because that basically limits the amount of interaction and possible interactions with other players, with friends that want to play together so much and so unnecessarily, that I don't get why it's so long. Like, this raid here had been released half a year ago, or yeah, 5 months ago, at least 5 months ago. And why do we have to play the same content for 5 months without any internal change in it? Like, if they would say, hey, you have 4 months or 3 months for the content to be solved in a usual way, and then you get these echo buffs for the players that want to clear it, but maybe in an easier way, and also the people that want to play with their friends without any limitations. And that's what the thing is. This weekly limitation is locking you out to play with certain friends. If they have a static, they want to do that on a daily basis, like Cole, maybe they want to farm the gear, they form up a party to do that. You can't do it unless you have an alt, or you have a twink, a second character with which you can separate these weekly lockouts, which is a hell of a time investment as well. I don't know. I think that would be an easy solution for basically all the problems that Cole is describing here. Just have these weekly loot limitations being removed so that you can grind certain bosses after another. If you got a very clean clear for P3S, for example, then you just do it 10 times in a row with the same group, maybe in the same setup, and then you get all the gear you need from that fight, or at least a whole bunch of gear that you need from that fight. That would solve so many problems, and nobody would think like, oh man, I need to get these weekly stuff done. And I know why they are fearing it, because then it doesn't mean, hey, even though these players come back every week, when we unlock this weekly limitation, they won't come back, because they just do it once, farm everything, and call it a day. They maybe unsubscribe because they have cleared everything. Yeah, but I would say it's a better feeling for me as a player to have that option and not being forced to log in every week, to keep subscribed, because that also declines the nature of their idea. Hey, you can play other games whenever you want. I can, but when I'm concerned or focused on gearing still, I need to log in every week, I need to do this stuff, and I need to be subscribed. Square Enix needs to be very honest about this, and Square Enix needs to put their balls on the table and be totally honest, they want the money for the player base. It's just how it is. That's not anything anywhere different than any other developer of games. They want your money, our money, and they want to make the best out of their content to stretch out as far as possible that you are staying subscribed. Don't be fooled by Yoshi-P's claims. They are true to a certain degree, but when it comes to putting some methods in there that want to keep you subscribed, they are doing the same thing like all other developers do. That's basically the whole idea of why we still don't have these weekly limitations being removed earlier, because they want to have this so much until the next content is announced, which will happen on the 1st of July, where 6.2 will be announced. Until to that point, they want to keep you at their fishing pole. And they succeed most of the times, unfortunately, which I think is a bad and toxic relationship. I would really love to say that it works out for them in the way that, hey, we can compensate these players that drop their subscription for a certain amount of time, because we are saving up some development effort there for trying to make content fresh, but then cut it off once it's not fresh anymore and people can unsubscribe. We can compensate that in any way, I don't know, financially or by producing other content. Like if they would say, hey, PvE content is first, we produce content for you, we get raids out to you, play these raids, complete these raids, and then you can unsubscribe. Or, hey, look at that, we have other content, we have PvP content. And they kind of did that. Like I said, the problem with PvP, even though many people of the community didn't believe me, gearing up in PvP is as in the same way necessary it is in PvE. Yes, the playing field being so low and that you can directly start on the same playing field as the high-end PvP player is a good thing in one term, but it's really, really bad for the longevity of PvP content. Once you put in some gear and put in some motivation for the long term for people to participate in that content, don't quote me, but I think it would heal that content and would make it much more applicable to the masses out there. Your argument apply on ultimate raids too, by the way. I believe they don't do it because they want to give people who did the work to fell rewarded. No. As much as I wanted to agree with you, Spellcaster, no. They don't care about this. Even though sometimes it feels like they want to highlight the achievements of the player base, it's all about money. Don't get fooled by them being the best creator team out there. They are. They might be the best game developers on the planet right now. But even that doesn't mean they don't want your money. They want your money. Even the move like, hey, we're not selling Final Fantasy XIV copies anymore because we want to guarantee the active player base to have stable servers and stable playtime. No, they just had to. They just had to. It's not a move like, look at how generous we are. No, they had to. They needed to do that because otherwise people would have flamed them to death. And that's definitely a thing they need to avoid in any case. Nonetheless, good video from Cole. I think he lost the point at some minutes there. I tend to do that as well because I'm no native English speaker. Sometimes when I don't have a script running, that's very bad. I think he didn't have a script here as well. But yeah, nonetheless, Cole's scripted content and basically the reactions and all that stuff is very, very good. He's one of the first people to always keep you informed about updates, about patches, about live info that is being talked about in live letters and all that stuff. So definitely leave Cole's channel a sub here and check out his other videos, especially the 7 Reason to Play series, which is, I think, very close to mine. And if you are really hyped about jobs that I haven't covered yet, then check out if Cole has these covered already.